So I was working on the credit side of the industry from 2021 when I was still at the venture fund called Maven 11. And we invested in a protocol called Maple Finance. It's a lending infrastructure still around, of course. And the quality of data in crypto is rather poor. The quality of data in crypto credit it's almost non-existent. Basically, everybody self-reports that they are amazing counterparties and that everything will be all right. But unfortunately, in 2022, I think we saw that that's not entirely the case for a large majority of people. So losing 36 million with one counterparty that was falsifying its financial statements for many, many months, we decided that we need to take it in our hands and really provide the market with a solution that on the one hand will enable the transparency, but on the other hand protect the secret sauce of the users itself. If you are a market maker, you're simply not gonna share API keys with a random guy like me, because in the end, the whole IP is behind those keys. So that was the trigger, losing a lot of money, and now we are here trying to make it a bit better for this cycle, if it even is this cycle, or for the next one. So that's the little story.
Arpan, maybe I'll let you explain a little bit about your vision for Noon and how you're embracing part of this transparency movement, and then what's the uniqueness under the Noon proposition.
Sounds great. Thank you. So you guys have all probably heard about yield-bearing stablecoins. They are everywhere. It seems like every other day a new one pops up that claims to be different. We are actually different. Let me tell you why. There's a couple of different reasons. First of all, we are the most intelligent stablecoin, yield-bearing stablecoin in crypto. What does that mean? Well, the result is that we generate the highest yields of any stablecoin in crypto. I don't know if the slides are still available. If so, you can flash them up.
Let's show them.
Exactly. No, sorry. Could you go back one, please? Perfect. So this is of last week. Stablecoin Noon is at the very top in blue. You've got Athena, Resolve below. The way that we're able to do this is what makes us very unique. We believe that we are pioneering in one of the first stablecoins that is moving us away from a world where the reserve currency is fiat. And we really believe that in the future, this is probably not next year or the year after, but 5, 10, 15 years from now, the reserve currency world will be a yield-bearing appreciating asset. And in order to do so, you need to have a yield-bearing asset that actually guarantees the highest stable returns in all market conditions, right? So you can't have T-bill, you can't have stable coins that are just backed by T-bills because their returns will go to zero when there's low interest rate environment. You can't have stable coins that are just backed by something like the basis trade or any other type of strategy that's volatile. You need to have a stable coin like ours that intelligently deploys capital across different delta neutral yield bearing strategies. So that's the intelligence part of it, which is the first element that makes this difference. The second part is our fairness. And if we could quickly go to the next slide, the really interesting thing about stablecoins so far is that the value capture and the value distribution to users has actually been pretty poor. So we started off with the USDTs, the USDCs of the world, where almost the entirety of the value was captured by essentially the team, the investors, and other insiders. We've now moved to yield-bearing stables like Athena, Resolve, where while they give back a lot of the raw return that they're making to the users, they're still keeping and they're still distributing to insiders a lot of the real value that's generated via the governance token of the stablecoin. So if we use Athena as an example, at its peak, its FDV for ENA was about 15 or 16 billion. 55% of that was allocated to its team, that was 30%, or to investors, that's 25%. So that's over 8 billion that users would never see. What we're doing is we are entirely sort of fair market self-funded. that allows us to return 65 to 80% of our governance tokens back to our users in some way, shape, or form. So that's our fairness. We've talked about intelligence and fairness, but another really important tenet that sort of falls underneath fairness is safety, security, and transparency. And I think that's what we're here to talk about. We wanted to make sure that we build a trusted stablecoin. Wojtek can talk a little bit more about how we've done that with Accountable. But importantly, we wanted to make sure that you're not relying on us, on self-reported data, to see that, hey, we're okay. We don't want you to rely on tweets from us to say, actually, all of the funds that you thought might have been on Bybit would have been fine. We want you to be able to yourself go to a dashboard that is not provided by us, not provided by data that we're reporting, instead provided by a trusted third party using the latest in zero-knowledge technology to give you the assurance that your money is safe. So let me hand over to Wojtek. Wojtek, would love to hear how you've been able to help us do this.
Yes, of course. So I think Arpan with Known is one of the very first example of counterparties that see value in transparency and want to make it their edge, because everybody in the end competes on the yields. But if you can have the yield plus the backing and actually show that this is real performance, you can really make a killing on this market, especially with institutional capital. So maybe to put it in simple words, like we are a data verification platform at this stage, and we basically enable organizations to prove that they are operating as intended. And of course, you can have a lot of companies doing the on-chain data analytics, but the holy grail is and was to see what's happening off-chain. You want to prove that you have 100 million in your bank account, that you're running trades like Arpan does on Binance without sharing the sensitive data that are not relevant for this particular use case. So effectively, as I mentioned before, like the whole market relies on claims and everybody self-reports that everything is fine. We saw the case with Bybit, right? Like every single stablecoin issuer, like Tina said, that everything is fine, we only have minimum exposure. But with counterparty like Known, you can basically check the dashboard and see it yourself. You don't need to ask them. So we are basically building connectors to all of the venues, again, banks, brokerage accounts, exchanges, custodians, and so on. And we run them in secure enclaves, basically making sure that the data came directly from the source, and guys like Arpan cannot basically tamper it with some fake data and generate fake proofs on top of it. So the next improvement and the next iteration of the setup is effectively adding the zk-TLS component, which strengthens the verification even further. Like the ideal scenario is that the venues itself, instead of just providing their regular APIs, would be signing and hashing the data directly from the source. This way we would get the guarantees that the data that is flowing through them is in fact real. But for that, we need to probably wait a little. It will happen. It's the same type of revolution like HTTP to HTTPS. The first data that will see this change will be, of course, the financial data, then the medical data, and so on and so on. So maybe we can show how we did it with Arpan and what's the dashboard. Can we turn it on?
Hopefully, yes. Can we put the website here? So
yes, so this is basically the setup. Known is basically running accountable software in the local infrastructure on a dedicated machine that is completely cut off and firewalled from all of their operations. So we run, they run the software there. We have the connectors to the venues that they are using, both on-chain and off-chain. And basically every 15 minutes in their case, it can be even live. They are generating proofs that everything is working as intended, that they are running trades, that the performance is there, and that they are over collateralized. Maybe we can go a bit down to show. I cannot start all this. Yeah, so here we see how Noon is making big moves recently and acquiring more and more reserves. But maybe we can go a little bit down to show the collateral. Yeah, so on the right side, you can actually see these are aggregated values, but it's basically the way that Noon wants to display it. But they hold on Binance custodian Cefu, yeah, $32 million if I see correctly, and on Alpaca, which is the brokerage account, another 2 point something. Sorry, I don't see it properly from here. But effectively, Noon can prove absolutely whatever they want. In fact, this dashboard could be showing live positions with liquidation levels that they are running at this particular moment. Question is, where is the threshold what you need to show versus what's truly needed, and in that case, aggregated values actually are probably more than enough. However, the setup is also interesting in a sense that they have their own node and they can push very specific data to an auditor, to their investors, to LPs. So this is a public dashboard, but they are in full control of everything that they do. Their data is truly there, and they can share it with another counterparty for any type of other use case like stress testing, acceptance of collateral, and so on and so on. So if we go to the bottom of the dashboard, yeah, if you click on ZK proofs, for example, you can see that basically the proofs are generated live. So this is not just another dashboard with fancy numbers, but this data you can actually trust. And that's the main difference. And this is how the world is gonna change in the coming months and years, that we will be relying on proven data and not on self-reported fancy dashboards or PDFs that tell you that everything is fine and then market turns and it's over.
Definitely, that's live. You can go and check for yourself, and we do believe that many more players will be adopting this kind of transparency. And the tools are there, and you can just implement them. And we are a little bit running out of time, but maybe some of the last remarks you would like to make regarding your projects and how to approach you, Arpan, maybe.
Yeah, for sure. If you guys are interested, feel free to check us out at noon.capital. And if you want to reach out to me, you can reach out to me personally on X at HE_noon.
Accountable.capital is the website, and if you have any off-chain or on-chain component that you want to prove, also come to us.
And from vLayer's perspective, if you want to play with our functions and participate in the testnet, these tools are available, and feel free to build with them. Go to vlayer.xyz or follow us on Twitter. Really exciting times to be introducing more verifiability to your projects. Thanks a lot for your attention, and